What's up, guys? Welcome in. This is JE Live, and we're doing our Wednesday night Q&A. We did, let's see, we did Monday and Tuesday. Now we're doing Wednesday. Hope everyone is well. Hope everyone's Wednesday is going well, and hope everyone has questions so we can sit here in not silence. No, some news came out today. With everything going on, with the combine, and basically the Rams made it a point that they're going to target Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford as the go-to guys to extend. So that's going to be the big thing there. I put out a video on that if you missed it. We have that. Another thing that came out was the running backs coach and assistant head coach Thomas Brown is now going to become the tight ends coach for the Rams, replacing Wes Phillips, and he will also be hiring the new running backs coach. This is a opportunity for Thomas Brown to further kind of put himself into the role of an offensive coordinator a little bit more, learning the ins and outs of the offense, not just running back and wide receivers coach like he was at South Carolina. Sean McVay wants to develop him further, so this makes a lot of sense. Obviously Sean McVay did start as a quality control coordinator, but, eventually he did start as a tight ends coach before he became the offensive coordinator. So this is a spot, obviously, Sean McVay is grooming at least in my opinion, I think he's grooming, Thomas Brown to take over as the not only the offensive coordinator, but eventually the play caller. I think this is really like where they're leaning. So that's going to be something to look out for. What's up, Mark? I know we are assuming Aaron Donald will sign back, will sign with the Rams. Do you think there's a small chance he might play for a team for Pittsburgh before he retires? Seems like he loves his hometown. I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't really see it happening because I think the Rams are going to pay him handsomely just to stay. I think he's either Rams or retiring. I don't think he'll play long enough for that to be a thing, But that's interesting. I haven't really thought about that. But no, I don't think he's gonna like leave the Rams. I just don't. Could he? Sure. Someday he gets older. I could see it. I just I don't think it's gonna happen, but I won't like rule it out because stranger things have happened. No one thought Tom Brady would leave the Patriots. I don't think anyone thought LeBron James would end up with three different teams. But, that's how it worked out. So it's that's one thing. But yeah, hope everyone's day is going well. Not sure what to make of what's going on right now with the stream. I guess I can close everything. I don't know why it's like loading, but it is. So, or not loading, but, I'm also going to move this because it's kind of irritating me. There we go. All right, cool. What state do I live in? New York, upstate New York. If Odell signs with the Rams, when do you think he will be able to play again? Mid-season, I would say. I would say mid-season. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back before that. He did, suffer an ACL tear to the ACL that he's already torn. So you would think that's bad, but actually in this case, it's somewhat good because it actually lowers the length of how long you have to rehab. So keep that in mind moving forward. Do you think it's possible for the Rams to make a trade for Saquon Barkley because New York are talking about they might trade him? I don't see that happening, and Barkley is just going to be too expensive, so I don't think the Rams would make the trade. But that's an interesting question. I didn't really think about that. Do you think the Rams can sign Cordell Patterson for a team-friendly contract? Not team-friendly, but I could see him coming. What's up, Sentry? Hi, Jake. Happy Wednesday. Apologies if this has already been asked, but in your opinion, what do our Rams need to improve need to do to improve our running game? Yeah, Century. Well, I think it starts with, maybe upgrading a little bit in the interior, maybe going after a Ryan Jensen type of guy, maybe even, spending the money on Brandon Scherf, but I definitely think that's where it starts. On top of it, I think also, getting healthy. Darrell Henderson was fresh off a, high ankle sprain. Cam Akers was, fresh off a torn Achilles. Now, here's the thing with that. It's impressive what Cam Akers did, but he was not in game shape, okay? He was just basically thrown into the fire. It'll be nice to see him a full off season to be able to work on his shortcomings. You talk about his, obviously lack of ability in pass protection. It's not saying that he can't pass protect, but he definitely struggled in that realm, and we saw that in the Super Bowl, very much under a microscope, knocking Andrew Whitworth out of the play and forcing a sack on Matthew Stafford. So to me, that's one of the things there. What's up, Queso? CJ, no, I don't see the point of that. It's not that I'm against bringing Kyle Rudolph. I'm against the fact that you would ever cut Tyler Higbee. He's not going to get released. He's on a good deal. They can, obviously do a restructure of his contract. He's not going anywhere. So, no, I don't agree with that. I mean, like I said, if they want to, I don't know, if they maybe want to bring in Kyle Rudolph, okay, but I don't see the point, if they get rid of Tyler Higbee, like Kyle Rudolph isn't an upgrade over Higbee, Maybe you do that if you're getting a big time player, but Rudolph is maybe as good as, what Blanton or what Bryson Hopkins could be next year. He's not a guy that I'm necessarily really interested in. Yeah, absolutely, Sentry. You think Russell will leave? Who's Russell? We got Russell Westbrook. We got, Russell Wilson. That's the problem. We got D'Angelo Russell. Maybe there's somebody on the Rams that I'm not even thinking of right now. Is there? When does free agency start? Soon. I think Russell Wilson. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know what the Seattle Seahawks are doing. I don't know what their end game is here. I don't feel like they're any good, even with Russell Wilson. They're holding out hope that, we just had a bad year. We had some injuries. I don't think this team can compete with the Rams. I don't think this team can compete with the Niners. So I don't really see why that they're even bothering with this team. I think that they should try and blow it up and rebuild because I just don't see it. If you can't win a Super Bowl as the Seattle Seahawks, why are you bothering? I mean, that's what they've been doing. They're basically the cockroach that doesn't die. I mean, we look at the Matt Hasselbeck era, and then, of course, Charlie Whitehurst comes in and, knocks the Rams out of playoff contention to go and host a playoff game at 7-9. First team to ever do it. Then they beat the Saints, obviously, with the big run, the 8-9 broken tackles by Marshawn Lynch, and that's that. But, Seattle, they have never gone away. I think that's a problem, and I think that's what's holding them back. I think a full-on rebuild, retool, would really go a long way, and I think they need to fire Pete Carroll. I don't think Pete Carroll is the move right now. I mean, I know that's what they're going to do, but I don't know. I think it's the definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I mean, it's not like they're going out and improving the team. And now they don't even have draft picks. Like, here's the thing. The Rams traded away draft picks to get a guy like Jalen Ramsey. The Rams traded away draft picks to get a guy like Matthew Stafford. Seattle traded away all those draft picks for Jamal Adams, who at one point, yeah, you could argue made sense. But Jamal Adams since has incredibly regressed since he's gone to Seattle. And, for that reason, I mean, I don't know if that was at all worth it. And to be honest with you, it probably never was worth it, even if I'm giving him the credit he does deserve early on in his career. He's a safety. When you look at Jalen Ramsey, he's a corner. Corners that are that shut down are hard to find, and they control the game. They can absolutely blow up a game plan. And on top of that, this is a corner with versatility that can play linebacker, that can play safety, that can play corner. So, for me, that really is what happened with Seattle, and that's why, I would trade Russell Wilson, but I don't know if they will. About how about me make a play for Khalil Mack? LOL. I'll never say that they wouldn't make a play for him. My only thing is, you do that, you start to kind of fool around with the team chemistry a little bit. Right now, you just won a Super Bowl with Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd is a good player. I think Leonard Floyd's more valuable than Khalil Mack right now. I would say that easily. Because Khalil Mack has those big, big moments. He can make the big play. But what has he really done since that one first year with the Bears? Leonard Floyd, since coming to the Rams, has been more valuable than Khalil Mack. He's better against the run. He actually stays healthy, and he's improved his pass rush. Khalil Mack really hasn't done a whole lot. If you think about it, he can't stay healthy, and it looks like it's a guy that's quickly declining. So if they wanted to bring him in, it'd have to be for cheap. I wouldn't pay him a lot of money. I'll look at his thing right now. I don't really. Robert Quinn. Yeah, here's Khalil Mack for you. He hasn't had a double-digit sack season since 2018. He's had 8.5 in 2019, 9 in 2020, and 6 in 2021. Robert Quinn, the former Ram, had almost 20 in 2021. So, I just don't feel like Khalil Mack is the elite guy that we, are remembering him to be. The name obviously just jumps off the page, but his numbers aren't really that great. And if the Rams get him for cheap, sure, but he's 31 years old, he's injury prone, and he hasn't had a double-digit sack season since 2018. His last 3 seasons, he hasn't accumulated double-digit sacks, and he's not reliable. And he's incredibly expensive. I think he's completely hurt the Bears franchise. 2018, he had that one good year with the Bears, and he only had 12.5 sacks. So it's not even like one of those seasons where he completely dominated. He had 12.5 sacks. So I think, I see Dante Fowler thrown around a lot with the familiarity, of some of the coaches. At this point, a lot of them are gone. But I could see that, familiarity with Donald and McVay, and, I could see that. But, he would have to realize he was going to be a rotational guy. He wouldn't be the starter that he was, I think that'd be interesting. Gilmore is definitely somebody I like. Ryan Jensen is another guy I really want. Melvin Gordon's an interesting one, Mark. I don't know. He might be a little expensive because Melvin Gordon still has it. He's like if Todd Gurley dropped off a little bit, but could still, run for like 1,000 yards if given enough carries. That's pretty much, it. That's Melvin Gordon. But yeah, I don't know. But, we'll see. I think Gilmore and Jensen are possibilities. I trust Gilmore more than I trust Jensen. Gilmore, to me, with that connection to, Jalen Ramsey, I feel is kind of more realistic, whereas Jensen might be a little bit of a pipe dream. I think they could pull it off, but I think maybe they're even more likely to get a guy like Brandon Scherf, who is, he has familiarity with Sean McVay. But, we'll see. Do you think the Rams could go for Dante Fowler and keep Vaughn and Floyd? Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely think that's a possibility for sure. I'm not saying it's 100%, but, they definitely could. I'm trying to bring this thing down. There we go. I'm still getting used to the stand. Don't judge me. Yeah. All right. Did you notice anything on special teams that improved over the course of the season? Is there anything we could do? Wait, what? I totally lost my... Is there anything we could do to improve it for next year? I feel like it is our weakness. Yeah. The special teams was great, and I think they'll be better next year. I think it took them a while, and they finished as one of the best special teams units in the NFL. And I think a big issue was that they had to adapt to losing a key special teamer in Jacob Harris, the rookie. They lost Tutu Atwell. Um, I think having guys like Nick Scott take on a bigger role on defense, not allowing him to really play as much special teams. I don't know. I was very impressed with the special teams unit. I thought Skoranek did an incredible job this year. Um, but that's just me. I really think that at the end of the season they were playing lights out. But that's a good question. Jake, NFL overtime in its current state seems to favor the team that wins the toss. What would you like to see the league do to change this, or do you think the things are fine as they are? They're definitely not fine as they are, because when you look at a game like, say, the Chiefs and Bills, playoff game, divisional round, to me, that was the definition of why overtime rules suck. Because, look, the Chiefs win the coin toss, they win the game. If the Bills win the coin toss, they're going to win the game. Okay? Both teams were scoring like crazy. Both teams' offenses were moving the ball like crazy, and both teams' defenses were incapable of stopping them. So if you're going to sit here and tell me the Chiefs, won that, and they absolutely outplayed the Bills, come on now. It was pretty neck and neck, and what ended up happening is the Chiefs won the coin toss, and so they won. No, I think college, and I have an issue with the way college does a lot of things. Like, college football, to me, at times really gets annoying, but I do not have an issue with the way they do overtime. I like it. The only thing I would change about college is, instead of making it, a red zone battle, because it turns into that, how about instead of that, you just do, like, you go back and forth until, someone can't score, I don't like first blood. I don't like that. I think with college, they have that, that consistent scoring. And so I think that's the way to go. But I think what I would want, personally, is you go back and forth, and you have to stop them going down the drive. And it's an untimed session where there's no game clock. Okay, there's a play clock. There's no game clock. So you're going down the field back and forth, and if they kick a field goal, you have to match the field goal to continue the game, or you can go for the touchdown and win the game. Now, if you match the field goal, this goes back to the other team. The other team has a chance to do the same thing, field goal or touchdown, until about, say, 3 drives. So if you do 3 field goals and they do 3 field goals to match, then you need a touchdown, and it becomes like winner take all. You know what I mean? That type of deal. And then if you have touchdowns back and forth the next, like, say, 2 drives, so after 5 drives, if it's still tied, then you need a touchdown, and you're forced to go for an extra point. Or you're forced to go for the 2-point conversion. And if you keep doing the 2-point conversions, then you're going to have to figure that out. So that's how I like it personally. I just feel like the best team, the better team in that game would win more of those than not. But right now, I'm just not really a huge fan of the overtime rules in the NFL, and I'm not a huge fan of ties. I know it's about player safety and all that, but, there's so many things that are contradictory to player safety. Like, yeah, we can't play a full overtime quarter. We can only play 10 minutes now. We can't play 15. So we can't play a full overtime quarter in the regular season. We can't play double overtime or triple overtime. It becomes a tie because of player safety. But you can hit Matthew Stafford the way he got hit, this year. I mean, there were times where the flag was not even thrown and he gets decked in the head. Or you can rip a guy down by his face mask and not have it called in the Super Bowl, which to me is a player safety thing. Or you can horse collar somebody and grab the back and just rip them down and have that not be called. So I think they miss a lot of these calls with player safety concerns. But then they're like, well, yeah, but player safety, we can't have overtime go another quarter. BS. I disagree with it. There should never be a tie. I mean, that's how I stand by it. I think it should be back and forth. And if you want to make it, if in the regular season you want to make it college rules entirely, where it is just a red zone deal, where you have to score in the red zone and it's a back and forth scoring and you have to match the scoring, I'm okay with that. Untimed quarter, whatever. What I'm not okay with are ties. What I'm not okay with in overtime in the playoffs is the team that got the coin toss first winning the game. I'm not cool with that. I mean, if that's what happens, fine, but don't make it be. I'm not a fan of watching Josh Allen on the sideline, because what's better for the consumer that's watching that incredible game? It's better for them to see both sides go at it instead of one team just driving down the field. And think about it, you're completely at an advantage, regardless of how good your offense is or defense, because you're playing more than usual football. So if you get the ball first, then the other team is on the field, their defense is exhausted. And what doesn't account for that is the way the fourth quarter ends, because you do a coin flip. So you win the coin flip and say you're the team that was on offense. So say you finished the fourth quarter, you tied it up to go to overtime on offense. You then flip a coin and you stay on offense. That defense that just gave up maybe a 90-yard touchdown drive now has to go back out there and stop you. And know that basically if they give up another touchdown, the game is effectively over in that moment. I think it's ridiculous. So, I'm glad you brought that up, because, I definitely had some thoughts on the overtime rule, Sentry. So, smash the like. Yes, please smash the like. Would really appreciate that. Let's see what we got here. Trying to... Comment section went dark. That's weird. That's not supposed to happen. Yeah, everyone, be sure to give the stream a thumbs up, like, whatever you want to call it. Really does help out the channel. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm trying to... All right. Let's see. Why is our backfield not Fuller and Burgess? Rapp is not cutting it, man. I put him just above Reader. Linebacker needs to be Howard and Jones until another better option comes up. I can't stand Reader. I mean, I'll say this, and I've said this many times. I understand people's gripe with Reader, but you have to understand Reader is exactly what the Rams have needed, because they put all their eggs in the basket, the proverbial basket of Micah Kiser, and Kiser couldn't stay healthy. Meanwhile, Reader was Johnny on the spot, could stay healthy, continue to play, a UDFA out of Delaware, and this guy's answered the bell. He's had some really good games. You probably don't blow out Washington the way you did last year with Troy Reader. And I'm not talking about 2021. I'm talking about 2020. I think Reader has done a very good job with the Rams. I think the problem is he's on a defense with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, Greg Gaines, all these guys, right? And so he sticks out like a sore thumb because he's not on that level of those guys. I don't think that's fair. I think he's still a good player. Like, he'll miss tackles here and there, but at least he attempts to go at the, make a tackle. And I really don't think he's that bad. I think there are games where they're not his best, but, I mean, we know what his weaknesses are. He's not perfect. He never has been perfect, So, I'm not, I don't hate him. And it's kind of the same thing with Rapp. I mean, I think Rapp is pretty solid. He deals with some injuries. He was tied for first, with the team in interceptions with Jalen Ramsey. So, I mean, this is somebody that makes, he takes the ball away, So, I don't know why Burgess doesn't play more, but I think you're forgetting about Nick Scott, Mark. And I do agree with you with I do think Howard and Jones should start. Um, but yeah, I don't think Reader's as bad as you do, and I don't think Rapp is as bad. Um, but don't forget about Nick Scott. I think he earned his way into the starting lineup potentially next year. We'll see. And I feel like Gordon is an upgrade over Sony. Imagine Akers, Gordon rotation with Hendo and Funk as the sub in the back. Yeah, I mean, Gordon is definitely better than Sony Michel. That's not even really an argument. But I think that, Henderson isn't on the level of Jake Funk. I think Darrell Henderson is astronomically better than Jake Funk. Jake Funk, to me, 7th-round pick, adds some special teams value, can return, he's actually a solid pass protector. He's just not going to be, he's not even a 3 to me. Like, he's a 4. He's a good, versatile guy. But, I mean, I think a guy that's underrated and has done more, in my opinion, is Buddy Howell. Buddy Howell's, has done an incredible job on special teams, and he's somebody that I would be okay with even playing him over Jake Funk. To me, I think Darrell Henderson's right there with Cam Akers. And honestly, the Super Bowl would have you believe that until we see what Cam Akers can do as far as getting back to his, original self before the injury, Darrell Henderson's the best running back on the team. But, we'll see. I mean, if Cam Akers goes back, he reverts back to that Packers game type of ability that you saw, then he's going to be the best on the team. But I need to see that first. That's why, for me, I don't know if they're going to go after a Gordon or a James Conner or somebody like that. They might, but I don't know if they will. And if they do, then I think that they should really consider going after, if they're going to go after a third guy, they should go after Jerick McKinnon because he does a little bit of everything and he does it well. I think he's probably the best mid-tier option. I think the best expensive option is Cordarrelle Patterson because I think Cordarrelle Patterson can help you all over the field. He can be your wide back, as Deebo Samuel and the Niners fans call it. But I mean, that's important, to have a guy like that, a gadget guy like that, a guy that can return kicks while maybe you have Brandon Powell return punts. I mean, I'm all for Cordarrelle Patterson coming to the Rams. I'm all for bringing in a guy like Kalen Ballage in the lower tier who maybe with the help of the coaching staff and, the guys, that are around him in the system, Kalen Ballage's low value becomes a high value. And, he sets himself up for a big payday after the season with the Rams. Maybe, you look at McKinnon. To me, McKinnon goes from medium to high because you look at what McKinnon was doing towards the end of the season, the way he was being utilized in the KC passing attack, it was pretty obvious that he became the starting running back. So if they don't bring him back and the Rams can get him as their third guy and rotate all 3, I think that's a good course of action to have. And then, of course, you have James Conner, Melvin Gordon, and Cordarrelle Patterson. Those are the top tier guys up here. Those are the guys that score touchdowns. Those are the guys that will punch it in from 1 yard out. You don't have to worry about the others. I think Darrell Henderson personally is actually a better back, at the goal line than Cam Akers. Cam Akers does struggle in that department of his game. So until he gets better in that aspect, I don't think it's a bad idea to go out and get a goal line back or have, Henderson carry it. But getting a goal line back, I think the best bet for that as far as how many touchdowns like you could, take in would probably be James Conner because that dude literally scored over 15 touchdowns last year. But I also think that he's going to be pretty expensive, and I think the Cardinals are going to want him back. I think McKinnon is going to be your closest to like a Chris Thompson back that Sean McVay was looking for when he got Lance Dunbar a few years ago. And then I think with Kalen Ballage, like I said, he's going to be the cheapest option who has probably more potential than you would think because he hasn't been on great teams. And the one time he really got a chance to start was with the Dolphins and the Chargers. And when he was on the Chargers, I mean, he looked like a starter when Austin Eckler went down, They kind of gave up on him, but then again, the Chargers are known to give up on good players. Look at Eric Weddle. So, I think what it comes down to is the Rams are going to have their pick of the litter, really. If they want to grab another running back, that's going to be telling to what they think about Jake Funk. If they want to grab another running back, then I think that they're going to go after a guy that can win in the red zone. I mean, Cam Akers had 2 fumbles down in the goal line area, one last year, week 17 against the Arizona Cardinals, and the second one came in the divisional round against the Buccaneers. Let's not forget about that. As freak as they may have been, those are 2 fumbles at the goal line that changed the momentum of those games. So those are key. Those need to be punched in. You look at Todd Gurley, even Todd Gurley at his worst in 2019, when he was a shell of himself, the knee was getting to him. Todd Gurley punched it in 12 times that year. He had 12 touchdowns. You need that. You need a guy that's going to be able to find the end zone, because it puts way too much pressure on the passing attack to have to score with just not a lot of room. The red zone, it gets close to, it gets hard to score down there. And Sean McVay, historically, the red zone has always been his Achilles heel. Now, he's gotten better over time, but that's always been his Achilles heel going back to Washington. So I will not be surprised if they go after a red zone back, goal line back, like James Conner, maybe Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon wants to, come back to L.A., go to the Rams, stick it to the Chargers, whatever. He did it with the Broncos. I wouldn't be surprised with that. But if I were to take anybody right now, if money didn't matter, I would take Cordell Patterson. If money does matter, then I'm taking Ballage or I'm taking Jerick McKinnon. So that's my thoughts on the running back room there. Reader is the definition of serviceable. He's not flashy, but he's vastly outperformed what most people ever expected from an UDFA. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%, Alex. Great point. Overtime should be left to the special teams. Whoever misses a field goal, first goal loses. I disagree with that, because I think that's the biggest issue with hockey, is that I think the sport is amazing, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have continuous overtime. The physicality, just, everything, right? You play 4-on-4 hockey, continuous overtime. And then, let's just say you play 4-on-4, and then the next overtime period, you go to 3-on-3. And then you go to 2-on-2. I would not do shootouts. I think shootouts take the whole game aspect, the whole teammate aspect away. The whole, being a teammate, having a teamwork in general completely goes out the door, because now all of a sudden it's 1v1. I don't like that. So I've seen the kicker competition. I've disagreed with that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think to me that's the biggest issue with hockey, honestly. I love hockey. I think it's one of the best sports. I think it's the second best sport behind only football. But I just think, really what it comes down to is that the shootouts, I think, dude, give us another period of hockey, man. I think we need somebody with real speed and hit the hole hard at running back. If you're looking for that, you're probably looking for a guy like Jerick McKinnon. Even with the 2 ACL tears, I think he had an ACL tear and an ankle, a torn ankle or something like that. But even with all those injuries, he looks pretty sharp. I'm not going to lie. What's up, Zeno? Hey, Jake, that's a fire jersey and chain. Thank you. My question is, which player you think the Rams should target in the draft? Rams should target in the draft. Which player? I mean, I don't really know at this point. I'll know probably more closer to the end of the month. But I really do like Daniel Falele. And the reason I like him is because he's this 6'8" brutal tackle that could play guard. And I just love his physicality, man. I really like him. They used him as a running back, fullback, whatever, in the Hulk package at the goal line at Minnesota. That's a guy I really like. I really like him. I like Desmond Ridder, but I'm not saying the Rams should draft him, and the Rams wouldn't draft him. Let's be real here. If the Rams are going to extend Matthew Stafford, from what I'm seeing, then they're not going to do it. But that I think I hope Desmond Ridder does well. I do like him. I just would like to see him go to a team that I can at least root for him on, and not another one of those Trey Lance to the Niners situations where I'm sitting here like, Yes, Trey Lance is playing well. Damn it, he's on the 49ers. Like, that is just not fair. You guys know, because I talked up Trey Lance on this channel a lot. So, yeah, I'm just hoping it's not one of those things. But that's a good question. Rams, I'm thinking, should target a corner. They should target interior offensive line help, just to add some depth. To not have the Bobby Evans and the, Jamil Dembies of the world as your backups, but to add to the depth there. And then I think, you look at quarterback, you're good, because I like Bryce Perkins. I like John Wolford, and Matthew Stafford, I think, is going to get a 4-year deal worth, I think, close to $40 million per year. So I think he'll be, I think that's what we're looking at with him. So he's going to be with the Rams for a while. And then, so you have Stafford, Perkins, Wolford, they're done. Running back, you could look in the draft. I haven't seen any running backs that I truly love, but I haven't looked truly into them yet. Receiver, I'm seeing a lot of people say that the Rams need a deep threat. I'm seeing a lot of people say that the Rams need a receiver. That is the one position the Rams absolutely under no circumstances should draft. They have Odell in all likelihood being extended. Odell is going to take a little bit to come back, but he's not out for the whole year. That's what people need to realize. He'll be back by midseason if he signs with the Rams. Even if he doesn't, he'll be back by midseason on another team. Regardless of that, they drafted Tutu Atwell in the second round. The guy led the NFC in preseason receptions. Let's not forget about that. They drafted Jacob Harris, who they've basically admitted, okay, he's not a tight end. We're going to use him at receiver. He's coming back from a torn ACL. You have Robert Woods coming back from a torn ACL. You have Van Jefferson. You have Cooper Kupp, who had the greatest season in wide receiver history. And you have Ben Skoranek. You have Brandon Powell. You have the guys on the practice squad, like, the Landon Akers of the world, the J.J. Koskis, Warren Jacksons. I mean, no, they don't need to draft another receiver who's going to sit there and try and fight and claw his way onto the roster. It makes no sense. It's not happening. They also have some pretty good receiving talent at tight end. You have Tyler Higbee. You have Bryson Hopkins. You have Kendall Blanton. So no, they're not drafting a receiver. I keep seeing that. I don't know why I keep seeing that. Please stop saying the Rams need a receiver, because they don't. That's literally the one position that they do not need at all, period, end of story, exclamation point. All right, anyway, let's see. I think we need some, okay, saw that. I feel like we have the passing attack, but in big games, our run game never really took off. Imagine a better overall line with a more run attack would make Stafford even more effective. I agree with that. I mean, this is why I've been saying that Stafford had such a good season, and people don't get it. Okay, I don't care about his interceptions. The guy threw 51 total touchdowns this season, and he threw 6,000 yards when you include the postseason. He did all of this. He won 16 games without a top 10 rushing attack. Actually, they were bottom of the league for the whole year. They were bottom half in the league the whole year. Jared Goff had a top 10 rushing attack, and that offense looked like a shell of itself. So, yeah, I think eventually it'll come together, and that's what I think is going to happen. So I agree with you. I mean, I'd like to see if they could get Roger Saffold back. I mean, we'll see. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're at the 40-minute mark, and we've got a decent amount of viewers here. Would like more likes, though, on this. Really appreciate it. DC, thank you so much for donating. Jake, go ahead and replace JB Long. Jake, the new voice of the Rams. JB Long is a friend of mine, so I'm going to say no on that end, but I appreciate you, giving me the props there. I think JB is one of the best in the business, and he's the only one that should be the voice of the Rams, in my personal opinion. But again, I do appreciate you kind of being like, hey, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. But JB, he kills it. Let's see. I'd love to see Jet McKinnon, especially if he does well. It would annoy Niner fans after his unfortunate time over there. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? That would be awful for them. They waited for 2 years, and I don't think he really took many snaps at all. Yeah, that would be something if he went to the Rams and tore them up. And he did not leave on good terms there, if you remember. Like, he's just like, yeah, I guess I'm not coming back or something. So, yeah, that's something. Felt like there were definitely moments in the year where Stafford and passing attack had to shoulder the offense. Feels like our line was inconsistent run blocking against good defenses. Really what it comes down to is this. There'd be times where the offense would open up a big hole, right? But I think the issue was, in those cases, you didn't have Henderson. It would happen with Michelle more often than not because they made the adjustments that they did. The blocking scheme change, using 12 and 13 personnel groupings, whether adding another offensive lineman, having another tight end, using things like that, whatever. That opened up opportunities for Sony Michel. Now, I kept saying, and people were calling me a hater, but I kept saying Sony Michel is slow. So when you get those big creases, you're not getting that big home run hit because Sony Michel has the same knee thing that Todd Gurley had. So keep that in mind. Michel wasn't a 4.4 speed guy like Gurley before he got it. So he's really slow. And so because he's slow, you get those big home run hits, and now all of a sudden that 40, 50, 60-yard run for, a Cam Akers or a Darrell Henderson or hell, even Jake Funk, all of a sudden becomes a 20-yard run. And now in that moment, you're like, yes, first down, chain-moving run by Sony Michel. But realistically, the offensive line kicked ass, and they only got 20 yards out of a gain that they should have had 60 on. And that's the issue. That's why I'd like to see them go after Jerick McKinnon. Because say what you will, they call him Jet for a reason. Jet McKinnon would be off. Cordarrelle Patterson would be gone. Like, you want to see those runs. And so, that's what I'll say about that. Let's see. Honestly, I wish we could steal Juszczyk from the 49ers. So it's funny. Like Juszczyk, what was it? He was related to one of the people I used to, like, at my last job or whatever, I used to talk to him on the phone a lot. He was related to Juszczyk. So, yeah, that'd be funny if he went to the Rams. It won't happen because they signed him to, like, a huge deal, but I still remember when he got his huge deal. He was saying there was, like, a big party or something. I don't know. It was a while ago, and I could be, like, mixing it up, but I think, yeah, he was related to Juszczyk. I just don't remember what he was, like a cousin or something. Mike H. Cam ran into hard-to-run defenses in Tampa and San Francisco in the playoffs. O-line didn't give him much of a chance on the Super Bowl. Think we'd be fine with Cam and Henderson. I think it was more so Cam. It was a combination. So they were tough defenses, but I was not overly impressed with Cam Akers in the playoffs. And I gotta say, the Cardinal game, you saw what could be, but we rushed to now he's ready. And that's okay, because now he has a full off season to prepare and get himself into the shape that he used to be in, because he was not very good at all in the Super Bowl. He was a liability in pass pro, and he didn't run well. Okay, the Rams do not win that Super Bowl without Darrell Henderson's 40-plus yards receiving, just like they don't win it without Bryson Hopkins' 40-plus yards receiving. Those guys were huge when they needed to be. And so I think when it comes down to it, you love Cam Akers, you appreciate Cam Akers, but those are just the facts. And you're hoping with an offseason he'll come back and he'll become that top 10, top 5, even top 3 running back that he's got the potential of being. So, yeah, I mean, the O-line has to improve as well. Don't get me wrong. My proposal would be 15-minute OT, no sudden death, high score after wins. If still tied, then the kicker shootout for player safety reasons after 15 minutes should be considered special, so special teams gets the love. That's interesting. I don't know. I like the back and forth, but the 15-minute, the extra quarter, that somewhat makes sense. Maybe you do a 15-minute extra quarter and then you do a back and forth red zone type of deal. I don't know. Different ideas. Always fun. Jake, do you think the Rams go back-to-back? Right now, I feel like they really can. You look at what they're set up to do. They're really set up to be a dynasty. So as long as Sean McVay doesn't go anywhere, I think this team is going to continue. Because here's the thing. For those of you who watch me play Elden Ring, I know it sounds weird. Like, why are you bringing up a video game talking about the Rams? Hear me out when I say this. For those of you like Alex, who is in the comment section right now, who have watched me play Elden Ring. I started at the beginning of that game and I could not. Like, for the life of me, in the first hour, I was embarrassed. I'm sitting here, I'm streaming, and I'm dying left and right. Like, not having a good time. Like, getting miserable. Like, I'm getting upset. I'm not showing it because I'm trying to be somewhat nice about it, but I was pissed. And over time, I got past these different little bumps in the road. And so, I took down boss after boss after boss and leveled up and did all this. And all of a sudden, now I feel like really comfortable with the game. I don't feel like the game's too hard for me. As before, I couldn't even beat an enemy. And now here I am, I'm taking down these giant bosses that are bigger than my house. Here's the point and why I brought it up. Sean McVay started off his coaching career going through these bumps in the road. And while he didn't have the bumps in the road that I had, as far as my Elden Ring experience, because I was god-awful and he was not god-awful at the beginning, he did go up against that big boss. The first big boss we talk about, Sean McVay went up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons shouldn't have won that football game, but we underestimated, first off, the experience. The Falcons were the same team that had already been to the Super Bowl with that same roster. Not exactly the same, but similar roster. They know what it was like to be there. Sean McVay's first ever playoff game, they host at the Coliseum. He loses. So that's the first bump in the road. Oh, lost my first playoff game. All right. So what's the next bump in the road? Well, the next year, it's a matter of, the Golden Boy got them to the playoffs. Now let's see what they can do in year 2. So they start off great. They go undefeated. And then all of a sudden, they lose to the Saints. So they're undefeated. They lose to the Saints mid-season. It's put up or shut up time. They win a few games. Then Todd Gurley gets hurt. Todd Gurley gets hurt, and all of a sudden it's, oh, crap. Well, we have Justin Davis and we have John Kelly. Yikes. All right, let's see what they can do. The Eagles, they lose. The Bears, they lose. They lost to basically a Mitchell Trubisky that had his shoulder coming off in the freezing cold. So there you have it. Sean McVay now, okay. Panic button? No. He gets past that hump. He goes back to the playoffs. They get a first-round bye back when the playoffs made sense, and the first 2 teams got playoff byes. And they played Dallas in the divisional round. Look at that. They're hosting a playoff game. It's at Coliseum. What's going to happen here? Sean McVay has to get over this boss, this hump. That is the first playoff win, and they win this game. And so they win this game, and then they move on to the Saints game. Now, the Saints game, if they win, they go to the Super Bowl. They get over that hump. They beat the Saints. They go to the Super Bowl. Okay? Now they're going up against experience and dominance in the Patriots. We're talking about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, who at this point are going for their 6th Super Bowls, both. Sean McVay loses that game against the big boss. 2019 goes up against bigger bosses, and that's trying to come back, knowing that most teams that lose in the Super Bowl do not recover and get back. So Sean McVay in 2019, dealing with all of that, and you want to talk about it in terms of Elden Ring, you get a poison or something in that, it deteriorates your health over time. So say he's dealing with that, because now Vic Fangio, when the Bears beat his team, put it on the map of how to stop his offense. So now he has to figure out how to change his offense. And Todd Gurley is not the same. And Jared Goff is not the same. Goes through 2019. All those bosses. He continues to lose. He doesn't make the playoffs. 2020 rolls along. Okay? So he didn't beat those bosses. Let's see 2020. Bumps in the road. Goff still has not gotten back to where he was. Todd Gurley's gone. So you're running around with a rookie running back. You have Darrell Henderson. You have Malcolm Brown. All right, let's make it happen. New defensive coordinator. COVID. A lot of different bumps in the road. He brings his team to the playoffs. Okay? Brought him back to the playoffs. He missed the playoffs a year ago. Let's see what happens. Wins a wild card road game against Seattle. Goes to Seattle and beats Seattle. There's another boss taken down. All right, now you got the big bad boss. This could be the big one here. Can you beat Green Bay? Well, no, because this, your weapon broke, which is Aaron Donald, and your other one broke, which is Cooper Kupp. So he's fighting this boss with like hardly anything. He puts up a valiant effort, but in the end, the Packers beat him. Fast forward to 2021. Before it happens, before he goes back into that boss battle, right before, when you get to that save point, he goes to the save point, he changes his loadout. He's like, you know what? This sword ain't working. Jared Goff's sword ain't working. Let's go and trade this to a merchant, and let's get this Stafford sword. So he goes and gets Matthew Stafford. And what does Matthew Stafford do? Well, proves to be the deciding factor. A lot of the same guys come back. They lose some guys. But at the end of the day, Sean McVay, over time, beats these bosses. Keep this in mind. This is still a video game analogy. And he works his way up the rungs of this ladder, right? And now all of a sudden, he's gone from here slowly but surely, and now he's all the way up past here, and he's won the Super Bowl. And that, to me, is what you need to look at. So now, as the game has gotten easier for me on Elden Ring, because I'm beating all these bosses and I'm leveling up, the game is getting easier for Sean McVay. So while you do see some coaches, they win the Super Bowl and they don't get back, Sean McVay, to me, is not one of those coaches. He's 36 years old. What he's doing is, quite honestly, the most unprecedented thing in coaching history, because he's the youngest coach ever to win a Super Bowl, and he's been in 2 already. So keep that in mind. And on top of it, he's basically tapped the untapped potential of Matthew Stafford with a good team, and what you're seeing what he can do. Guys like Cooper Kupp, who were great before, are now becoming elite and the top notch. And on top of it, to make matters worse for the rest of the league, he's working in unison with a GM in Les Snead, an owner in Stan Kroenke that's not afraid to dish out money. Defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, who, look, it wasn't smooth sailing for Raheem Morris, but he comes in, he makes the defense his, and they win a Super Bowl with him. Now, he gets to keep Raheem Morris. He gets to keep Thomas Brown, the assistant head coach, used to be running backs coach, will now be tight ends coach. And he has Les Snead and Tony Pastors. And these guys are now going to figure out a way to create another team that allows them to compete for the title. And that, to me, is why Sean McVay is going nowhere. Because when you do it, when you really think about it, Sean McVay's just checking all the boxes left and right. We've seen all those graphics with, Tom Brady winning those Super Bowls. Oh, he's got 1, he's got 2, he's got 3, he's got 4, he's got 5. He tied Montana. Now he's past Montana. He's got 7 now. Sean McVay has been in 2. He's won 1. He's only 36. And he's got a damn good roster with an ability in the front office to basically relinquish enough cap space to get into the triple digits. Tell me how this team doesn't have a chance of repeating, besides the fact that it's cliche to always go up against the team that is likely the favorite to repeat. And the funny thing is, in typical Rams fashion, they're not the favorite. They're not the favorite. They were the number 2 seed when they went to the Super Bowl. And this year, when they won the Super Bowl, they were the number 4 seed. And they win the Super Bowl? Nope, it's not enough. They're the 3rd betting odds favorite, behind the Chiefs and the Bills. Look, I think the Bills and Rams are going to be your Super Bowl 57 matchup. The Chiefs, I can't even tell you why that is. I think the Chiefs are ungodly overrated. If the Chiefs were so great, then they would have made the Super Bowl this year. They would have beaten the Bengals. You talk about the glitz and the glamour and all of that with the Rams. Talk about the Chiefs, man. Patrick Mahomes making no-look throws just for the hell of doing it. Matthew Stafford's doing them to win Super Bowls. That's the difference there. So, yeah, sure. Chiefs are the favorite over the Rams. Bills are the favorite. I think that makes sense. I think the Bills and Rams are probably even at that point. But I'm just saying, it is funny. Love that Jared Goff sword, but it was the beginner sword. You had to drop it eventually. Yeah. I yeah, I feel that. It's like the straight sword you get, the forsworn straight sword. Um, Jake, do you think the Rams go back to back? Oh wait, I just answered that. I don't think we need a new punter, Handsome Eric. I think Johnny Hecker did a really nice job towards the end of the season. Actually had a really underrated season. Can we get a realistic stat on Stafford interceptions? Like how many were him just arm punting, giving his guys a shot? How many deflected off our receivers' hands like Skronik or Higbee versus Niners? Good question. Yeah, we'll have to get that at some point. Like, what do you mean first draft show? Are you talking about when the NFL draft comes? Like, will we have a draft show? Because I'm planning on having a live one, yeah. You think we should give Jake Funk a chance? He ran really fast 40 and he has good potential, assuming he puts in the work. Not really, because, I mean, I just feel like Jake Funk is what he is. You know, I don't want to overrate him, you know, and I think that's something that happens with him, is that he does tend to get overrated for a guy he's a 7th round pick, you know? I mean, that's, you know, worth talking about. But LA Rams needs in the draft offensive tackles and linemen and pass rushing defense, speedy secondary. You should do a video where you show Stafford stats next to current Hall of Fame quarterbacks and see if people can tell which is which. Sounds like something I would probably do at some point. Jared Goff's sword is basically a good sword, but it got worn out. LOL, only way to fix it, you repair it or trade it. Or you can do each comparison as a poll and let people vote on which they think is Stafford. Wait, you're telling me we can free up $100 million of cap space? If that's true, it's over for the league. So, yes, that is certainly possible. I'm not saying they will, but Spotrac had a really nice article that stated how they could do it. And it all comes down to Matthew Stafford's contract extension, which, keep in mind, it's going to come out. People are going to be like, wow, Stafford, you didn't take a Tom Brady deal, because he's not going to take less money. So it's going to look like a lot on the surface. But a lot of that money is going to be upfront, and there's going to have incentives. And I mean, we're talking he's probably going to get like 40 plus million per year, maybe 45 million. He just won the Super Bowl, 1 year being there. So I think it's going to be around 45 million over 4 years. But I think it's going to be like tooled in a way that doesn't hurt their cap and actually alleviates their cap, if that makes sense. Jared Goff had the wooden sword from Legend of Zelda. Oh, dear God. We also became somewhat one-dimensional when our run game kept sputtering and teams still didn't have an answer for the offense. First year was getting Stafford comfy. This year, bring back jet sweeps. I agree with that. Jackson Mahomes messing up Burrow's career with dumb TikTok dance videos. Stafford will play much more free now that the monkey is off his back. Look for his offense to explode this year. I agree with that. What's up, Ram fan Ashton? We are for sure have a chance to repeat as champion, Jake. I agree with that, Hopper. What's goody, Jake? What's up, Hilltop? I think Cordell Patterson would be the best fit for us because just in case we don't end up like we did this year, shorthanded at receiver, be another weapon as a running back and wide receiver. I agree with that. You missed my first comment saying you should do a video comparing Stafford's numbers with current Hall of Famers and see if we can tell. No, I didn't. I saw it. I answered to it. I said that sounds like something I would probably do, but we'll see at some point. Yeah. Well, we got over 50 people in here. Can everyone give me a thumbs up on this if you like this video? Really does help out the channel. Got 19 likes. Let's get those things up, shall we? Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't. What is that video of all of the daughters when the trade happened with Stafford? Oh, where's the video and all the doubters? I'll drop a link if you're talking about mine. I told you guys I was going to be prepared for that. Where is it? Oh, found it. All right. We got it. There it is. Yeah, I'll be seeing Batman on Saturday. I agree with that. I think the year 2 is going to be huge for Stafford. Absolutely huge. But what is your favorite food and drink when watching NFL football? I'd say pizza for me and beer for me. I'll say pizza and beer as well. A Blue Moon or any sort of sour ale. And if it's not beer, then I'm probably drinking a ginger ale or a hot matcha or hot chocolate. One of those. I don't have an IMAX, Alex. What I have is an RPX. It's a Regal Prime Experience or something. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I mean, it's RPX. I just don't know what the name of it. I think it's Regal Prime Experience, but it's basically our IMAX. Yeah, I like Stafford's chances for MVP this year. He was in the race through the first half of this year, but hit a rough patch and knocked him out. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back-to-back seasons predicting Stafford as MVP. I mean, I think there's a good chance he becomes the... Actually, you know what? I don't think he'll be MVP. I don't think he'll be MVP because MVPs don't win Super Bowls. It hasn't happened since like Warner, so... I like Pacifico and Modelo. I think I had in the last Rams game. I think I had Modelo, the Super Bowl. So, yes, get Elden Ring. Highly recommend it. Elden Ring is one of the greatest games I've ever played, bar none. And I mean, ask Alex. Alex has been watching my playthroughs. Alex knows I hardly had any sort of experience with Souls games, and you know, it took me a little bit. It pissed me off, but I stuck with it, and now it's one of my favorite games. It's a great open world game. You know, I just love the different options that you have with it. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Also, guys, be sure to follow my new or subscribe to my new YouTube channel for gaming. I have 208 subscribers and counting, so be sure to hit that link and just head on over there and subscribe. That's where I'll be at 9. We're going to go live at 9 and play some Elden Ring for probably a while. Normally those streams last like 5 hours. We'll see how long I go, but you know. Great question, Sentry. The pain of getting everybody to subscribe to one channel is just, you know, after you already have a big one. I don't know if I'll do another one, but if I were to do another one, it would be probably MCU driven. But I don't recommend it. I only have to do it because YouTube doesn't do a good job of helping out small content creators, you know, who are versatile and who focus on, you know, more than one category of topic, you know, and I think that's why. So for the most part, I don't think I'll make another channel. I think I'm just doing gaming because gaming is such a vast difference than sports, right? You know, and it turns people off. Like, I had a lot of people that are like, oh, Jake's gaming again. Come on, go back and talk Rams. But I don't know. For me, I kind of feel like the way to go is I'll keep sports and entertainment on this channel. I'll still come out with my MCU stuff every now and then, horror stuff, that content. But this will be mainly a sports channel. And then the gaming is just going to be entirely just gaming. So, what's up, Will? I like Willis more than Kenny Pickett so far, but I mean, I gotta watch more film. I'm not gonna lie, I'm way behind on film. Um, I got so involved streaming and making these quick hitter videos, which, by the way, I think are doing pretty well. So I'll continue to do them, but that I haven't really been paying attention. But yeah, so that's a great question, by the way, Sentry. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel that I just posted. If you haven't already, really does help me out. Like I said, I have 208 on there. Actually, 209. Thank you, whoever just subscribed. And we'll be going live at 9 for Elden Ring Night 7. Hunt for the Moonveil Katana. Alex rejoices in song. No, I'm kidding. Hell no, keep everything. I would love an earlier stream. You play like early in the morning. Yeah, I know. I play early. But I also play late. So it's early for you, but it's totally late because I start at like 9 and I play until like 4, which I'll stop doing. I'm so into this game right now that I'm doing it, but I'm just going to take the life out of me if I keep doing that, so I probably won't. But appreciate you, Sentry. Appreciate you, Aaron. Hope to see you guys there. Again, top of the hour, 9. We'll be going live, playing some Elden Ring. I don't know how long. People ask me. It's going to be at least 2 hours. I can guarantee you that. Unless it's a really bad night, like what has happened before. If, like, my stream doesn't go well, not saying if people don't show up. I mean, like, if there's any sort of frame droppage or anything like that. But, yeah, plan on 2 hours, and we'll see from there. But I will see you guys very soon if you're coming on to that channel. And be sure to give this a like. Be sure to give that a subscription. And I'll see you over on JE Gaming. Later, guys.